The last thing that you can do, it's called the stickiness factor. The stickiness factor. What do you do to make your properties more sticky? And the answer to that is found in this LinkedIn article. And it's basically, what are some ways to build strong tenant community? This was an AI article that was produced on LinkedIn, and a number of different property managers went ahead and responded. And they gave basically 5 things you can do to create this sense of community within your property. The first thing is communicate regularly and effectively. Well, we talked about communication responsiveness. The second thing was provide amenities and service. What are the amenities that you're providing within your property? What makes your property unique and different and stand out? How do tenants know that your property is the property that they want to be in long term when the market starts to shift? Do you keep your amenities up to date? Don't just think about the building and the structure in and of itself. So many landlords and investors only think about the experience from the building standpoint. What are those thought processes that you can have from the tenant standpoint? Some of the amenities that we've been talking about on this show here recently was, we're talking about upgrading to tech. If you can add a smart unit or put things into the property that make it a smart unit and smart functioning, those are definitely some things that you can do to upgrade that tenant amenity experience, especially if you have a limited amenity space. I've demonstrated or shared with you the shoe wall in one of the apartment communities that we toured. I shared with you and demonstrated the spa experience, or the bars or the coffee bars that have been installed in some of these places to create the community experience. Even the spaces, some of the builders are now starting to design this community living experience in the upper end apartment communities so that there's better amenities in places where tenants can connect. But you got to have the thought process from the tenant's experience. The next thing is organizing events and activities. Depending on how large your apartment community is, this may make sense. Or depending on how large your rental portfolio is, this may make sense. If you just have one rental, one unit, it's a single family off in a specific place, your tenants might opt to leave and go find an apartment community where they can be part of a community that's doing cool things, especially if they're a person that appreciates connection. But if you have multiple units or a couple of units in a specific area, because, if you're farming a specific area in St. Louis and you're trying to buy more and more property in that specific area, maybe notifying your tenants of some of the upcoming current events might just be the one thing that keeps them in your unit long term, because you let those tenants know of community activities that are going on. The next thing that you can sincerely do if you want to improve the tenant experience and make sure that you're building that sense of community is ask them. You can solicit feedback. So whether that's done through surveys or phone calls or just asking them when you're at the property next time, depending on who you are and the type of portfolio that you run, but getting feedback from your tenants about what's going on and how to build that sense of connection. Those are just questions you can simply ask the tenant. And then the last thing that this thing talked about, as far as this article talked about, as far as building a sense of community, was recognizing and rewarding loyalty. Recognizing and rewarding loyalty. Again, the tenant that I talked to you about, where I upgraded the dishwasher to the most up-to-date tech program, that was a way that I rewarded loyalty. I gave this particular tenant off Christmas every month. They didn't have to pay rent during the month of December. Why did I do that? I did it to reward the loyalty of this tenant staying in my unit. They paid their rent on time every month in full, and I gave them December off.